podcast.
You listen to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Oh, beautiful, man. Woo! Slip and Dip podcast back in your life. 2020, ringing in the new year, doing big things. Shout out to our new friends at the Shirt Dog Network. Yeah, we said it right. The Slip and Dip has grown the show, and we going international. I'm Kendrick Johnson, my co-host Matthew Wells. Big, back, bigger than ever, literally.
Yes, 100%. We are now on the Shirt Dog Radio Network, as Kendrick just mentioned. For the video side of you guys watching on YouTube, that doesn't mean anything for you guys. But for the audio listeners, a little bit different for you guys. So you'll find us on Shirt Dog Network. I'm sure they're going to have the links up on the site and stuff like that somewhere, something like that. We'll figure out all the details. It's our first run. We'll let you guys know as it kind of irons itself out. But yeah, man, 2020, we're here. We got 3 fantastic guests for you guys to kick off the new decade of podcasting with the Slip and Dip podcast. Raquel Pennington getting ready for her rematch with Holly Holm. It's going down this time. And we got Stephen the War Man Wright, one of our favorite people in the combat sports world, one of the best trainers in the world. And speaking of best trainers in the world, Derrick James on the boxing side, trainer of Jamel Charlo, and one Errol the Truth Spence. Man, some of our favorite guests, and you guys are really going to enjoy these chats with these guys. Kind of a quiet combat sports weekend. Really kind of a calm couple of weeks coming up. You know, the next big thing for us, I guess, is going to be really Cerrone and McGregor. That's really the next big thing.
Yeah.
Coming up. It's going to be a hell of a fight. I can't wait for it. It's going to be a fun night. And of course, like I said, Raquel Pennington's fighting on that card against Holly Holm in the co-main as it stands right now.
It's like once February hits, that's when everything's gonna hit. February, I got a crazy combat sports. First week I'll be in Houston for UFC 247. Then I do my little NBA thing, go to Chicago All-Star Weekend, and I go straight from Chicago straight to Vegas for Wilder Fury 2. Fury will get knocked out. I'm putting money on it. I don't know. Holla my man Tim, my bookie out there in Vegas at MGM. I will come see you. Put your money on Wilder. He's finishing him this time. Back to 246.
I agree with you on that though. With the Wilder thing, I think he gets him out of there quicker. I guess if he gets him out of there, period, it would be quicker because he didn't get him out of there the first time.
He ain't getting up this time. He just ain't getting up this time.
That's what I mean. Yeah, he's not going to get up this time. I think. I don't know if Wilder's. Listen. As frustrated I was with the Ortiz fight, with how he was just kind of hanging around, kind of knowing in his back pocket the whole time, like, I can end this dude whenever he wants.
He's like, I'll be perfect for 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think he's not going to wait as long for those 2 seconds this time against Fury in the rematch, but, you know, I could be wrong. He could drag it out again. Who knows? So we'll see.
The closer 246 get, I'm getting. I just want to see the show that Conor be put on. The fact that I've seen him fight multiple times in person, and the fact that he's had the long layoff, so you know it's going to be dramatic. He is Conor McGregor. And in the back of my mind, I also wonder if we will ever see him again, because a lot of people don't talk about it. I'm going to tell you the real deal. If you listen to the Slip and Dip, you know, we give it to you 100% uncut and raw. People don't realize when Conor signed the contract to fight Floyd Mayweather, his agreements, because people's like, why would Dana let him do that? Because he had to come back and fight 2 more times at least in the UFC, or he loses his. They can basically come back and get him for $50 million, half of his $100 million purse. Conor is a businessman. He ain't trying to lose that money. Hence why he stretched it out, but he's fighting that second fight of that deal. So he's, quote unquote, paid off that debt. So it'll be interesting to see, win or lose, how quick we see him back in the octagon. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is a one-off for this year and he doesn't come back for a while. Nobody's talking about that angle because they don't know the business side.
Well, I think the results of this fight is going to matter a lot. If he loses, obviously, I think he'll be his only fight for the year. If he wins, I could see him coming back around on that International Fight Week time.
Fight Habib.
Yeah,
I think there's one person he would fight now.
I don't know, because I think he's obviously going to bring in a big paycheck regardless of who he's fighting. So I think it's all about the money for him, and if he just determines it's worth it. Of course, yeah, he's going to be looking for that rematch with Khabib. If he does win, I don't agree with that. I think you got to beat somebody else at 155 because this fight's taking place at 170. So I don't know. It's
you don't go with that far as for a business model or for a competitive model. Competitive model,
competitive-wise, but yeah,
business model is like how does it make sense?
I was about to say the death of meritocracy is the thing in 2020, considering we have Yoel Romero and Israel Adesanya on the horizon. A guy on 2-fight losing streak getting a title shot. So screw meritocracy. It's not a thing that exists anymore in the UFC when it comes to competitive reasons. So if you can sell a fight yourself, you'll probably get what you want. Everything else be damned. This isn't the PFL. It isn't the win and you get a big ass check. So, it is what it is. That's
I think you're one of the few people that you're geeked up off the PFL. It was cool. It was a little bit different. I don't say I'm neutral. I don't like or dislike, but it just you see why these people are in the UFC.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, like one of our guests says later on, if you're a guy that has a style that you can go in there and win fights without taking a lot of damage, and you're not one of those guys that like to go out there and grab the mic and talk a lot of shit, you need to be looking at the PFL, especially if you're a guy that hasn't had that big payday in your career yet. If you don't have that financial security, go out there and win 3 or 4 fights and cash you $1 million check. Because you won't do that in the UFC. You will not do that in the UFC. You got to have something special about you, personality-wise, fight style-wise.
Longevity-wise.
You got to have that whole package to build yourself a star and be a marketable, guy like both of these guys on this marquee for UFC 246. So that's what it is. That's where we're at on that. But we're gonna get you guys into these chats with our guests this week. Like I said, Raquel Pennington, Stephen Wright, Derrick James, in that order, actually, as a matter of fact. Once again, thanks you guys for rocking with us for the past couple of years. Brand new year, brand new decade, and we got a lot of good things coming.
Start stuff off right.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting it off right. Hit that subscribe button if you hadn't on YouTube already.
Smash that bell.
Yeah, and of course, hit that merch link below. We got the merch in the store. Go pick yourself up a t-shirt, pick yourself up a hoodie, show some support for the show, or click those other links to Venmo. The Cash App. It's all right there for you if you want to show some love that way as well.
Because you guys must go even further. We will start the super chats. We will start the platinum videos.
Oh, we're starting those regardless. We're starting the super chats regardless. We're going to be doing some live chats and all that stuff. We're working out the kinks on timing and everything like that, so stay tuned for that. We're going to try to do at least one a week, get some for about an hour or so. We'll figure out the timing and the days, but we'll get all that worked out. And, we'll have some fun with it and get some feedback. So we appreciate you guys. Till next week, we're out.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast, one of the best UFC bantamweights in the world. She would take on Holly Holm at UFC 246, a rematch of their fight at UFC 184. Miss Raquel Pennington. I was at that fight. I thought you had Holly in the 3rd round for the record.
Me too. It's all right. It's been a fight. It's been a fight that I've been waiting for what, 5 years now?
Wow, it's been that long.
Motivation behind that.
That was the first major card I covered. I'll take that back. That was the second major card I covered. I was happy. I was in LA. I went to a Laker game the day before. I'm a big Laker fan. Saw Ronda, and then y'all kind of stole the show. Ronda did what she did, but y'all fight was more interested. So it was man. And then the whole Bruno Mars, you came out of the Uptown Funk. And then that was crazy too. I've told him that's one of the coolest moments of UFC that I've been there. He's up and they got your song, he pop his ass up, everybody go crazy. I bet you got a adrenaline rush off that.
Dancing around going insane.
right. So tell me this, Rocky, how frustrating was it to have this rematch canceled on you for a little bit and go through the whole camp and then have to, I guess, gear up again for this new date?
Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but Holly in general has just been frustrating for me. So the first time that we were actually supposed to fight was when I ended up fighting Ashley Evans-Smith December before that February that me and Holly actually fought, because she pulled, I think it was a week and a half before the fight due to a neck injury. So then this time around, it was 10 times more frustrating, just given the fact, it's a brutal sport and these things happen. So that part was kind of whatever, but it was just the fact that they kind of knew. And we just landed in Australia. So I checked into the hotel and then I turned my phone on and I started getting all the notifications. And we went out there to kind of just get used to the time change and everything. So we were out there 12 days prior.
Mm.
So that part was a little frustrating because my whole coaching staff was out there, Tisha was out there, my family was out there, and yeah, we were just hanging out.
Do you think like I know you don't like the you don't just be handpicking your opponents, but you think like basically she's on the as they say the back nine of a career. She's been in too many wars to be in a physical matchup with somebody like yourself.
Um, it was a conversation that I had with UFC. There's some fights that I still want to revenge myself on, and then obviously other fights just climbing the ladder and whatnot. So I mean, Holly's still up there. She's ranked high and being a former champion and whatnot. But that is a fight that I definitely wanted before she goes out. So you know, I have the fight with Misha under my belt and then her retiring. So why not make it happen with Holly?
Dang. Just ending careers out here. I see what you're going for.
I mean, I gotta do something.
How much did you learn from your fight with Amanda, with her being the GOAT? And I guess anybody in the cage where you're gonna learn something about yourself or in fighting in general.
How much did I learn about my fight with Amanda?
Yeah, no, about yourself that you can take going forward.
Oh, the fight with Amanda was a frustrating fight for me, just in general, just because I obviously went on break and I underwent a bunch of surgeries and then I had that time off and I had a completely different idea of the way that time off was going to go, but once I had the surgeries and the doctors were like, yeah, no, you basically got to be a couch potato, it took me down the wrong path. Like my emotions were all over the place. So I was in a big hurry to come back. And then when we got scheduled, and I ended up breaking my leg in that accident, there was just one thing after another. And to be honest, going into that fight with Amanda was just way too soon in general, as far as my leg being healed. So that was one thing. I overcame a lot of obstacles from being in that fight and, going in there and pretty much just surviving. I was in defense mode from 30 seconds in. When she laid that first kick, she kicked in the exact spot where I actually broke my leg. So I fell. And I remember, Amanda could have jumped on me at that point, but I remember she stayed there and it took every ounce of me to stand back up after that fight, especially because nobody knew what was occurring. And in the fourth round, when I said I didn't want to fight anymore because of the pain that was going on with my leg, like it had nothing else to do with anything. And obviously my coaches know me, I know them. We have a trust there that a lot of people may not even understand. So there was a lot coming from there. And it just taught me a lot about myself in general as a person, as an athlete. It made me just kind of basically pull my head out of my ass and regroup. But, it was another stepping stone for me when I went into the Jermaine fight, because then I was nowhere near emotionally ready and my health was just, it took a big turn on me. And I developed hypothyroidism and like, I just could not get it together. But because of the athlete I've always been and where I want to be. And then, just like I said, that long time off, like I was internally struggling with trying to be the athlete that I am, but then trying to be smart and take care of myself. And so finally, after the fight with Jermaine, then I took the time off, and that's when I really regrouped.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff to go through. I mean, we've been, I don't want to say we've been focusing necessarily on, mental health or not, but it's been a topic that's come up on our podcast a lot recently. So, like, have you done anything, like, reached out to, like, mental coaches or anything like that to kind of help you, stay focused on your goals and things like that?
I did some sports psychology and was kind of just trying to figure it out. But while I was sitting in sports psychology, I coach high school gymnastics as well. And then I go around and I do a lot of keynote speaking for different organizations. And then I've had like a lot of opportunities just to talk to many different athletes. So I think between just being the high school coach and basically I give them like a lot of inspirational talk and motivation before competition, and then going around doing my keynote speaking on top of sports psychology, I just kind of found it within myself again. And it was kind of one of those things to where, I just kind of had to practice what I was preaching and I had to remember all these things. So there was one specific moment. I was in the middle of a guest speaking, and I was standing up at the podium, and I was kind of just talking. And I actually just took a second to myself because I was like, man, like I actually need to step back. Like I'm telling these athletes to appreciate these moments and remember what got them here and all that. So it was kind of that moment for me that I stepped back and I realized that it was just all within myself. I could read every book. I could listen to like a mental coach and do all this stuff, but really it was just a choice that I needed to make. And I mean, I didn't get where I'm at today with living in fear. And that's pretty much what I was doing. I was living in fear, I was living in frustration, and I was living in all this doubt and letting everything negative get to me when I've always been like one of the most positive people. So I kind of just needed to pull my head out of my ass, to say it lightly, and get it together.
How much has Tisha and your mom been a big help to help you get back to the Rocky that we know and love?
My mom's always been my number one support with everything. So she's definitely everything, even she was telling me from the get go, but it was something that I personally had to do. I'm surrounded by great coaches, by a great team. My family is everything to me. And then, of course, Tisha living out the same lifestyle as me. Everybody was saying it, but it was something that I truly had to do for myself. And then, it was just great to have their support along the way. But then it's kind of nice too. It's different because like me and Tisha kind of feed off of each other, and then Tisha's so used to be me being the really positive one that she was kind of having a little struggle on her own. So it was a struggle at home for a little while.
Do you think it's something that you like? They got the 25 million PI building in Vegas, and you got basically a fighter situation. I went through it in December. Like you can't be a UFC fan or a fighter and not like that building. You think they need something like that? It's like they spent all this money. What's the extra a mill or two to help y'all get through stuff that we don't know through after the fight and putting your life on the line and coming out alive and preparing to do it again against for more money or whatever. Your career's on the line as well.
I think the Performance Institute was an amazing step for the UFC to provide for all of us, just to have that opportunity to be able to fly there and have the resources that we need. And they're constantly expanding, like they're growing every single day, and they're providing different things. And then they're doing a lot of studies as far as like on our brains. Tisha, she was really focused on the Cleveland Clinic was doing a study for TBI, and then I joined her on that just to kind of, it keeps track of like what our brains are doing, and they're trying to get more research on as far as what boxers and MMA fighters brains look like. And it's kind of just with them, it's a study. So of course, if we get any damage, they can kind of keep, a record of that. But the Performance Institute is actually working on stuff to where they can do more preventative care and be a little bit more proactive, to where there's like longevity with us athletes, which is super nice. And especially living in Colorado and going to Vegas, flights are super cheap. It's a quick trip. And, like I said, I mean, the PI was something that really helped me bounce back. After my leg, I went over there and I lived in Vegas for a little while and just lived in there with Heather and all them. And they just went to town, and they're the ones that really helped get my leg back to almost a full recovery. Because I mean, with that leg injury, I was a centimeter away from drop foot, and then I was a centimeter away from almost having my leg amputated. And then I had complete nerve damage, so I could only feel like not even a quarter of my lower leg. And then obviously going into the world title fight and taking immediate damage to that leg, I ended up herniating the muscle. So I just caused more damage to it. And it was just like I was beating my body down on a whole new level. But they actually helped me get back to feeling 100%.
Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy. That's a lot of stuff to go through. I mean, I'm glad you're coming out on the other end a little bit better, and looks like you're excited for this upcoming fight against Holly Holm. Now, let me ask you this, because this is something I kind of saw a little interesting. This is your third fight on a Conor McGregor main event. So, is there anything different from those fight weeks than the other ones, with all the fanfare and all the hoopla around him and everything like that?
Fight weeks are always chaotic. They're always pretty busy, especially depending on where you're at in the rankings, depending on the card, if it's a paper, if it's a fight night. So usually with the Conor McGregor cards, they obviously get a little bit more hectic. When you walk out of the hotels, it's surrounded by fans and people, and then obviously this fight card and the previous fight cards that I've been on have sold out. And then just walking into those crowds, I mean, it's one of a kind. It's fun. It's a fun night. And then after the fight, I mean, it's always fun, but it's definitely rowdy.
How do you stay focused on your fight and be in the moment? Because I remember when he came through, they showed in the promo, even when we had the mink coat, because you were on that stage. That's one of the funniest moments I've been a part of. And I remember you and Misha were kind of like, "What should we do?" It's like, "Oh well, I'm just gonna pay attention too." And you don't. And then he puts up the chair. Like you don't ever know what's gonna happen. It's like, how do you stay focused on your own fight and not get into fan mode with all those chaotic?
I mean, it's all part of the ride. I mean, everybody likes the entertainment and whatnot, and it's part of it. So you just kind of go along with it. And for me, I mean, I've already put in all the work. I've done weeks of work. So during fight week is just embracing the moment, enjoying every opportunity, and just taking it all in. And it's kind of a fun distraction because I mean, you have your fight and everything, but then you get to see how he's acting all crazy and just getting things stirred up, and you don't always got to completely focus on your fight and focus on what you're doing. So it just brings a little bit more entertainment to it, and then you can obviously come back and regroup on your fight and stuff. So I don't know. It's entertainment for us too.
How is it to have to wait on one person? Y'all there like y'all supposed to, like professional, and this fool shows up 45 minutes late and shit don't start really or get into the mode until he starts doing what he do.
Honestly, I have to go with that shit's kind of annoying because, I mean, we're all sitting there and we all have similar schedules. So it's like we have shit we got to take care of and we have our own plans. And then obviously everybody's focusing on weight and got to get our work, whatever it is. So when it's like that and when you're getting prepared and adjusting your schedule for whatever we'll be doing, we're lined up for, and then it starts 4 minutes or an hour later, it actually kind of gets annoying. Like there's a part where the entertainment, but the part you kind of cross the line and you go a little too far. And some of these guys definitely like to do that. But I mean, it makes the sport and everybody, there's different people out there who love it as far as being an athlete and stuff and being on the professional level. Like, I feel like we could be a little professional and follow a schedule and get back to what we need to do.
Let me switch.
And that's coming from somebody who's super spontaneous and I hate planning. But in those moments, let's get it together.
Yeah, 100%. I can see how that would be extremely frustrating, especially when it's like you've already got what you want to do throughout the day. I'm sure some of those media obligations are a little annoying. Like when you want to just like relax or maybe get a workout in, it's like, okay, Connor, where are you? All right, bro. Like I got stuff to do, But let me ask you about this. So your previous opponent, Irina Aldana, before her last fight, she was talking about how she wanted to run it back with you like ASAP because she felt like that was one that got away from her. What are your thoughts on that? And are you even paying attention to her? Shall you get this win against Holly Holm?
I mean, obviously she's climbing and she's a solid fighter, and I mean, she just had a hell of a so hats off to her with that. But as far as San Antonio, I mean, for me, it was one of those fights to where, yeah, I heard that she wants to run it back and get back in there, and hey, I'm game to take on anyone again or anyone fresh. Like, I mean, the division we're all here for a reason. Everybody's trying to climb the ladders, and everybody has something to offer. And I'm a that so face whoever, I don't really care. I mean, obviously the ultimate goal is the gold. There we go. I said it early. But I mean, it's just for me. So right now my main focus on Holly, and like I said, I've been waiting for this rematch for 5 years now. But I mean, if she wants to get in there and throw down again, I'm game for that too. San Antonio was that fight. Like I said, I mean, I fought Amanda and then I fought Jermaine. And I had so much behind the scenes going on, and there was a ton that, the San Antonio fight against her was just like me overcoming a ton of obstacles. It was me getting to the top of the mountain, just feeling like myself again. Like I can't even explain what that was for me. My coach asked me right away while we were still in the octagon. He's like, so I have to ask you a question, and knowing you, I already know the answer, but I just want to hear it from you. And he's like, did you leave it all out? No, I didn't out there. But for me in that moment, even though it was a super close fight, for what I was going through personally leading up to everything, like that was like winning the gold for me. Just to get my hand raised and to like feel what I needed to feel again and just have that reassurance within myself. And um, so I don't know. Our second fight, I mean, that one can be fun. I don't think it's going to be a great one for her though.
I like it.
Since y'all fought, of course, Holly's lost like 5 times since y'all lost. Do you watch tape on what like maybe Jermaine did to her, or what Valentina did, or what Cyborg did, or it's just another fight 5 years later? Y'all completely different fighters.
You know, I watch film. Obviously, when all the fights are scheduled, I love watching the female fights. So anytime that they're on, Tisha and I, like, we make sure to either have them on record on TV or whatever we're doing. We catch all the fights, and like I'm a fan of other female fighters in the different divisions and stuff. So you know, I mean, just in general, I'm always watching the fights. As far as my opponent, like I definitely watch film, but the thing is you can sit there and watch all the film you want and everything and get an idea to it. But you know, I mean, I think the most important key is focusing on myself and my abilities and what I can do and visualizing it 1,000,001 times. So I've definitely watched all seen from the first fight that her and I had. I've watched it 1,000,000 times. I've watched myself. I've watched fights, even in times that I don't even want to watch those fights. But I think those are the moments that truly make an athlete grow. And then obviously my coaches have watched it and they've picked her apart in a million ways. And then we go in and we train. And, you know, I mean, come fight night, a fight's a fight, and we can go in there with a game plan. But it's just like, I just like to go out there and completely focus on my abilities. Go out there and have a game plan and think it's going to go one way, but anything can happen. So I just like to go out there and be prepared for anything and visualize it 1,000 times with me getting my hand raised in every position.
Very nice, very nice. So speaking of visual, I can't even get that word out right now. But anyways, looking ahead,
Visualization.
Thank you. I can't get that word out right now. I don't know why.
There you go.
Do you like make a plan out for the entire year? Because you know, new year, new decade. Do you map out what you want to do in 2020?
Heck no. I am a planner. It drives Tisha crazy because she is the ultimate planner. So we've had to like find this compromise in our relationship because I love being spontaneous. I have a general idea of like my goals that I definitely want to accomplish, but there's no exact time frame as long as it's before the end of the year, and I'm just on a mission with that. You know, some things come faster than others, and I just feel like sometimes when you set yourself up with certain things and you have those expectations that want really bad, I mean, those are moments that to disappointment if it doesn't happen that way. So I just like to go with the flow and see what opportunities open up and continue to work hard, and the personal goals that I have for myself and that I really can control, those are what I work for every single day, and just doing that. You know, I have my own goals for this year and getting back to where I want to be, plus shifting that gear and getting to a different level. So that's one thing. And then I just feel like, you know, each fight's going to speak for itself. So come now when I go out there and put on a highlight performance, I feel like it'll open that door for me with another opportunity. And then I can just check off another goal that I have, you know.
And final question for me: do you finish Holly this time, or is it all about just getting your hand raised? Or do you have to finish your? I won't say exercise a demon, but for your personal satisfaction, since over the last couple of years, it's been proven it can be done.
Listen, I've thought about this fight 1,000,001 times, and you know, I did some other interviews. I've watched the first fight between me and Holly round. I threw a right hand and hit her in the chest, and she fell. And I remember that moment clearly because I actually shocked myself that first time around. And then I reacted really late, and she's so long, and I tripped over her legs, so I technically like flew past her. But I remember in the commentating, Joe Rogan was like, "Oh, Holly tripped." So, you know, I'm over this judges thing. There's a possibility that obviously it can go to the judges, but I'm over the judges idea. So I've definitely prepared in my mind for maximum fight time would be 14 minutes for me. And then, you know, it's just about, I have some insane power, and my problem was not believing in that. And, you know, throughout this time, I've learned a lot. with a lot of different things, and then going through and having some training partners that I do not intentionally. I've dropped a few of my guy partners, so my goal is to go in there and kind of see what can happen with my right hand on multiple occasions. So to answer your question, no, I don't plan on going to the judges, and I plan on basically interviewing Joe Rogan after the fight and asking him if she tripped this time.
I like it.
It sounds like you got that female Jorge Masvidal going on. Remember the podcast where you made the plan out? That's all I ask. You build the place where you made the plan out.
Yeah, I got something brewing. I'm just excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there. Like I said, I've been waiting for this for 5 years and whatnot. And, I could sit there and let all the emotions come into play, but why? And I think that's what I did the first fight. I let a lot of emotions. There was a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. My coach at the time, like right before we flew out to LA, he found out he had thyroid cancer. So it was just kind of one shit show after another. And then obviously you had Holly making her debut, and there was a lot of emotions riding on that. You got this girl who's coming in the UFC, head kicking everyone who she's previously fought, and there was just a lot of emotions that played into it. But hey, a lot's happened in 5 years, and I've definitely over the past year and a half matured in many different ways. So basically, there's no fear, and there's a lot of motivation behind this fight and a lot of excitement. And let me tell you, I've been waiting way too long for this fight. I feel like I've been in a 10-year fight camp between going. I basically went from the San Antonio fight, had 2 weeks off, went back into the fight for October, had the 12 days off that I was in Australia, and now I've just been hanging out in fight camp. So I was ready to fight 8 weeks ago.
She's fired up, boy. I tell you, I'm excited for this now. UFC 246 going down. We're just a few days away, and we can't wait for this one. Rocky, thanks for the time. We appreciate you as always coming and joining us on the Slip and Dip podcast, and best of luck come UFC 246.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was good talking with you guys.
Hey, we're going to catch up with you when you get that hand raised, because when you ball, you get the call on the Slip and Dip.
Yeah. There we go. I look forward to talking to you.
All right, peace.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast. Friend of the show, one of the best combat trainers in the world today. If you start listening to us on the Slip and Dip on SureDog, this guy's the man with the plan, Mr. Steve Warman Wright. Thanks for coming on our debut on the SureDog Network.
No problem. Glad to be here. Shout out to TJ DeSantis.
100%. Shout out to TJ, man. Shout out to TJ. So, Steve, let's jump right into it, man. I guess your most recent high profile piece of work was being in the corner of one Jared Rosholt, fighting his way for $1 million. Obviously didn't go his way, but what can you tell us about that experience, man? Because that's crazy for a guy, like a Jared Rosholt, to have an opportunity to walk away with a paycheck that large in the PFL.
For sure. I'm definitely proud of him. He what people don't realize is how much these guys work their regular jobs. And for Jared, it's even more than usual. Jared, he builds elevators for a living. That's what he does. He gets up, he works 10-hour days. His whole goal, he's got, his family, as far as their health insurance, as far as that all comes from his job building elevators. So I usually get a tired guy in the gym a few days a week. But then we had this magical run where just the tournament field kind of fell into our favor. We went against Ghost of the 1 seed in our first fight, and we were doing okay. And then Gosov, picked up. He's really, really good with the counter. So I thought we were up in the first round, and then we just got caught by the right shot. So then we had to win our way, 3 fights just to get to the final. So he really had a gritty performance, against Satoshi Ishii. That was in Jersey, and that's what kind of got us into the final tournament field. And because we beat Ishii, that means Ishii, who had already qualified, we would have been the 8 seed instead we were the 7. So then that put us on the other side of the bracket, away from I guess what I would consider the stronger side at that time. So I was like, if we can just get by Mo, I think we got a really good chance to, win this whole thing in Vegas and then get a chance for the tournament. So we go out there, and sure enough, Mo caught us with the inside low kick, and he kind of treated it like he'd hurt Jared though, because Jared kind of went down from it. So he was landing big shots, but I could see he was using a lot of energy to go for the stoppage. So then we're kind of, I'm yelling roll, roll, because if you roll when someone's got your back, it can at least create a scramble where they have to relook for your head to find a final blow. But when we rolled, we ended up in side control underneath him, and we were able to work up from there. Jared was able to stay on top of him shortly after, and then once that happened, we were able to get the stoppage. And we only used, that was 3 minutes of work, and we were on our backs for 2 minutes of it. So after we got that win, then we got that weird, one of the craziest situations I've ever worked in my life in the back at Vegas, because we were supposed to go, and of course you guys saw the steroid thing that came out with Nicholson, but it was supposed to be Nicholson or Barasa. And then they were in a war with low blows and got both guys to each other. And then Barasa was cut, so he couldn't go on. So then we were told we were getting Nicholson. And then after like 4 or 5 people said it was going to be Barasa, then like another person came back and said, no, it's going to be Nicholson. And then another person came back and said both of those guys are ruled out. And then that's how it ended up being Tiller, who we fought last year. So it was like so crazy that in a span of like 15 minutes, so many people came in and confirmed who our next opponent was going to be. And it was to the point where we were like, all right, y'all, just make a decision and then come to us. Stop new person every 5 seconds. But he was able to beat Tiller, and that got us to the final. And we really did, it wasn't a lack of effort. We really did do our best with ACF. But his wrestling was, Jared said right afterwards, he goes, he was a step behind in the wrestling, and he actually had better entries in the fight with us than he had in the fights leading up to it. We had our moments, we thought, in the third. We got tired, and Jared was kind of walking him down, but we couldn't act clean, and we didn't throw in multiples when we got him on the cage. I really do think Jared gave it his best, and I truly can't stress to you guys enough. Guys like Jared who have to, take care. He's got 3 girls, and it's like, his work is the main thing that he does, and then this gets him extra money on the side. So I was grateful for the run. We really did do our best, but shout out to ACF. He was the better man that night.
Hey, $150, 150 G's for running up ain't bad. So props to Jared and starting off his 2020 on the right foot, or close to 2019 on the right foot. My bad.
No, we appreciate it, and it was a fun ride. It's always cool when you kind of, go on those trips. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's just crazy to me that these guys can have that opportunity, man. And it's like any other promotion, like you're not fighting for anywhere near that kind of money. And people don't realize that, especially, I have to keep pointing this out to people on Twitter all the time. I'm like, these guys don't have this opportunity in any other organization. They wouldn't be fighting for this much money. Like, at all. Like, they'd have to be climbing the UFC ladder for years and years and years and years to get that kind of pay. And it's just, man, just even have a shot at that kind of pay, rather. If you get your hand raised on that night.
Well, next year's a big year for PFL. It will determine whether or not they'll be there, for years to come. So this next year is a big one. And again, we'll see kind of how the year plays out. But, it was important that they signed Rory. And it's just the one thing about the UFC is just a part of this game is people want recognition for being a skilled fighter. And that's something that you don't get as much in the other organizations. It's just the people, some of them, the draw of being a superstar, kind of, it's there, and I remember, I think her last name was McCarthy. I can't remember exactly, but there was a girl who was on The Ultimate Fighter, and she got to the final, and she was a boxer. She was a world champion boxer. And then in MMA, she had a good run. I can't remember her last name.
Jessica Roxy? Is that the one she yes, changed with Dewey Cooper?
Yes, that was her. Yes, I was trying to remember. Yeah, that was her. But I remember they asked her about it, and she said, I've gotten way more recognition for this first fight on the card, UFC, about than I did for any of my boxing fights. Right. So the idea of getting that recognition and being a somebody and making that walk and getting the fight kit, and even before you had the fight kit here, and Bert, back in the day, it's like it's a different feel, and a lot of people like that feel. They like that, the casual fan knows who they are. Whereas, and if you were to see the crowd for the Vegas PFL event, you'd be like, all right, this is not big. I have not made it, it's not till you get that paycheck that you're like, all right, I made it, you know? Shout out to people like Lance Palmer, who's like, he just got his second million, and, he just had understanding the whole time that, in the end, I can't, that money on the side's not going to, pay my bills. That recognition doesn't pay my bills, like that notoriety isn't feeding my kids. He made the decision that this is the best thing for me. I'll hang out here a little bit longer, see if I get another million. And he did. And then you look at, some of his teammates who are like doing everything in their power to not turn down fights because it just, you just catch the UFC on the wrong day and you're cut. You know what I'm saying? So,
catch them on the wrong day.
So it just really kind of comes down to what you want from your fight career. If financial security is important to you, then you for sure should consider the PFL. Again, that's something that you should really, really consider. But man, if you like the experience of being a UFC fighter and free shoes and like that, maybe that's your
free
thing.
Reebok gear.
Now, again, money's not everything. Of course, I'm a big football guy, and I keep hearing the stuff with Tua. And if any part of Tua wants to go back to Alabama, if he's like, man, I really love that experience, I just don't think that the money is everything. So if in your heart that's what you want to do, you should do it, But at the same time, if you want to make money, you should be able to go out there and find those avenues. And those tournament fields aren't big for the PFL, so you got to make that decision quick.
Right. Man, it's like you on the payroll. Like you cutting the PFL promo up in.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm on both. I'm on the side of fighters winning. And in this game, most fighters lose. That's just kind of how it is.
Can you, speak to, I guess, the championships aspect of it, of the PFL championship fight itself? Because I think some people are tuning into these fights expecting it to be, like, the most exciting fight of the evening. Whereas I'm sitting here watching, I'm like, no, this is going to be the most boring fight of the night because these dudes have so much on the line. Like, if you have a wrestler, they're going to go in there and wrestle their ass off. If that means pinning them down for, a majority of the fight and trying to get some ground and pound in. Like, I'm going to work my control time if I'm a wrestler. Like, forget standing and banging. Like, I got $1 million to win.
For sure. And, Palmer, for example. Like, Palmer's
yes, exactly. That's what I was, yeah.
He's very, he wrestled in college at a high level. And, he had a guy that not only did he have a guy, he didn't even have the guy he was supposed to be fighting, like the kid Pineda who failed the drug test. That's who he was supposed to have. But he had wrestled him, too, So, like, the goal of what got him there is, hey, let's excitement don't pay my bills. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, like, there's no $50,000 bonus that's coming their way for putting on a great show. The only bonus is coming to the winner, So, like, I think Palmer did his thing. And with that said, you look at the other side of it, Schultz is a very exciting fighter. And they were killing each other. So it's just like, it's going to come down to the style of the athlete. But, if you're in that tournament, wrestling definitely saved us in some spots. So Ishii, we had to battle Ishii, on the feet because Ishii's good at getting up. He does the heavyweight get up. He can get to his knees and get high really quick. Tiller, we were able to get down, and Mo, we were able to get down. So it's like wrestling helped us too. So in the end, whatever gets your hand raised, do it. Sword came out there and knocked everybody out in the whole tournament. So it's just everybody's different.
Yeah, 100%. So let's switch gears to that other promotion that we were talking about that favors excitement and entertainment value a lot more. We've got the guy coming up in just a couple of weeks, and Conor McGregor, Cowboy Cerrone. I'm expecting this fight to not go to the judges, but I'm curious what your take is on that.
It just kind of depends on. I really do feel that Cerrone has the tools to win this fight because he does have the length and he's got a sneaky head kick. It's hard to get a read on. So if he can do stuff where he's patient and he shoots that a lot and he doesn't box as much, he will make Conor chase him with jab, jab 2 and jab 3-2. And as long as he can move a little bit, he should be fine. If he hangs out and he bangs, I actually prefer Conor's chin over his at this stage in his career. I don't know if I would have said that 7 years ago, but the way that he was stopped in the dirty boxing, that wasn't the hardest of shots, but Cerrone's been banging it out and been doing it for a long time. So maybe his chin isn't the 7 years ago chin. It helps him that he doesn't have to do the weight cut. That's for sure on his side, that he gets to be the bigger guy. Longer fight definitely helps him because, Conor has those gaps where he uses so much explosion in his fast twitch muscles that all of a sudden he's tired as you go down the stretch. One of the things that saved him in the Diaz fight was he had a second win in the fourth round. Other than that, the whole momentum had turned around towards Diaz in that third. And then Diaz took over the fifth, but he had put away 3 rounds thanks to that. If Cerrone can play with single strikes in the boxing and just really snap kicks, he'd be in really good shape. Like, he would be able to go longer. But Conor's gonna. I'm curious to see what he looks like that big, but he's for sure the better fast twitch athlete. And if he can get Cerrone to guess and take some chances on some right hands, he will be able to counter it pretty clean. So it's just it is what the game is. Cerrone would have been one of the top picks for who I would have put him against, with Conor coming back, like just from a business standpoint. And again, UFC is in the business of making money. You know what I'm saying? Sport can take care of itself. They want to make money, So that's the fight to make, and we'll see what comes from it. But stylistically, that's how I see it.
Wait, what do you think about the promos? Like, it's got all Conor's, like, his basically all his moments from press conference to actual fight moments, all put into one. See Conor McGregor make his ESPN debut on ESPN Plus. That stuff is tripped at me.
Back again.
Well, I mean, that's what I would do. Like, for me, there are 2 huge people that have been able to transcend the sport, and that's very, very rare to happen in any sport. All of the sports world likes individuals that can do a Michael Jordan, LeBron James type of go into your home outside of the sport that you do type of feel. Conor and Ronda are it for MMA. Like, I would not have guessed these individuals to come along, but Ronda, it's just, she has such a natural feel and go. And even before she was famous, I remember our student before she was UFC champion, I remember seeing her, she was still in Strikeforce at the time, and then Johnny was fighting Koscheck. So she was there, and she was just seeing people that she knew, and she was giving hugs. She's had such a bright smile, and everything about her. She just walked through the crowd and signed autographs. So people who have that appeal, like, I just noticed it from her real early. I was like, there's something a little bit different about her. Now the persona grew when, you're like, everybody knows you're going to win by armbar, and you go out and win by armbar for 6 years as a champion or whatever. But like, she transcended the sport. People who do regular everyday life knew who she was. Conor is that role. People in Ireland that don't know anything about sports know who Conor McGregor is. And in America, people don't know anything about him. I wish I could show you guys the picture, but I spoke at a school recently, and they had me as MMA trainer. And the picture that they had for me as Stephen Wright, black dude, the picture that they had for MMA trainer was a picture of a videoed, like, kind of like almost cardboard cutout version of Conor McGregor with shades on and the beard. And I go, when people think MMA, this is what came to their mind. Conor McGregor came to mind when they thought MMA. So it's like, if that is your figure and he's returning to the sport, he hasn't fought all year. That's who I'm putting out there. So they've got they are making the right move there. And I think that Cerrone could care less. I think Cerrone is going to have his, like the Diaz, that niche crowd that just go out and watch him no matter what. And if you give him enough time, he's going to put on an entertaining fight. The longer the fight goes, the more excitement he's going to bring. So, he's a talented dude. I think the UFC is doing it the right way. It's a money business, and this is a money fight.
So I asked you, since we have you on our last episode, who's your female fighter of the 2010s? Is it Amanda or is it Ronda? Because there'll only be 2 people.
No questions, Ronda. Without hesitation. Ronda transcended the sport. It's not that Nunes isn't a better fighter, but unfortunately, time and space matters in this game. So she beat Ronda, but she beat Ronda after Ronda was already beat. She, had the decisions that a lot of people were questioning about with Shevchenko. So it's like the aura of invincibility isn't there like how Ronda had it, by winning by armbar all the time. Not to mention her loss to Catherine Gant. So like that, and then she gets the victory over Holly Holm, but we'd already seen Holly Holm beaten. She's doing her job, but the way in which the long time. It's almost like the moment the crowd gets behind her as this is the one to follow, she'll have that kind of, I think the Jermaine fight, I think most people thought she was going to win in the first round. I thought that was of the picks, I think people thought that was the easiest. Next thing you know, Jermaine's hanging out. And then afterwards, she said the game plan all along was to go 5. If you're going to be a superstar, you can't say the game plan all along is to go 5 rounds. Even if that was the game plan, you got to say something else.
Yes.
So, she's just, for me, she's Larry Holmes. I've said that before. Like, she's a consistent champion, got the ability to stop people here and there, but she's not a superstar, and there's nothing wrong with that. She's just a super fighter, and that's amazing. But Ronda transcends the sport, stepped outside of it. This is without question. I would go Ronda for sure. And that doesn't mean Nunes isn't awesome. Doesn't mean that she's not the greatest of all time. It just means that Ronda, to me, did more than winning, and that's what you have to do to be, for me, the fighter of the decade.
I agree with you.
Her whole career was in a decade. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point. If you were doing a second half of the decade, it would be Amanda. No doubt.
Sure.
But
yeah, last 5 years, no question, no contest.
Yeah, of course. But let me go back to the Connor Cowboy thing real quick, because one of the things we were talking about, him being a catalyst for change and whatnot. Do you think that him consistently wanting these fights at this higher weight class at 170, where he's not really a true 170er, do you think that's going to have a ripple effect with guys stopping, cutting all this weight to make these fights?
No, I do not.
He said that quick.
Okay.
Well, it's just it's nothing against the other fighters, but the way the UFC works, for them to grow the divisions, they need people to stay in the division. You need to. So I brought up the Ronda thing. This is another thing about the importance of who Ronda was. The reason why they didn't have a women's 125 division is because they didn't want women to leave the Ronda division and go down to 125. They wanted them to stay at 135 because they needed to have, fresh opponents for the superstar. That's kind of how it had to be. And once she had lost the title and they didn't have that role there, then they could consider 125, and it's doing fine. Of course, it's still building, but there it is. That's kind of how the role of it would be. So in that way, I say that the UFC's main goal is to have the next 145 title challenger, the next 155 title challenger. The goal is to keep them in that mold, or keep them in that fold. It does them no good to have someone go, okay, I'm going to go 55 here, but man, that's a little bit tougher cut. I'm going to go 170 this time. That didn't go my way. I'm going to go back to 55. That doesn't do them any favors. Cerrone gets to do it because he's been fighting for 1 billion years, and he's really helped a lot. But if you look at the history of it, the only other guy that I can really say is Kenny Florian. He's the only other guy I can say had such flexibility to go through all the weight classes. Oh, Diego Sanchez, I'll throw him in there too. But for the most part, they like you to stay a 170 forever. Now, if you go up and stay up, that's fine, But if you go up and then down, it's usually something you don't see as much, and then you have to understand it. Now, if you are in that weird situation at 135 with Jan and Aljamain, that's a little bit tougher situation. It's like you got the guy who's the champion. He has no interest whatsoever of going against the best guy, but he got the title by going against the best guy, So it's he's bought himself some leeway, and he was injured, and that's unfortunate. And it's like, okay, what do you do with Jan and Sterling? And it's like, I guess you got to fight them, and they're kind of talking about fighting each other, but it's you got to imagine that's miserable for a fighter. So the UFC is in this weird place of everybody stay in their weight class, and then once someone becomes champion of the weight class, the last person they want to fight is in their weight class. It's just kind of weird how that happens. So, shout out to the long-term champs like John Jones and, Chef Chico and the people who are just holding it down. Nunes, but ideally that would be their preference. As far as people fighting at their walk-around weight or closer to it, it's just not a clear thing. I can't stress you guys enough. I work with Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman walks around between 188 and 192 almost all the time. I work with Johnny Hendricks. Johnny Hendricks walked around at 205 to 215, and then most of the camp was to get him under 200 and then make that cut. If you people walk at their walk around weight, you're talking about such different weights. You know what I'm saying? Another person that comes to mind, another guy in our area, and as far as like the walk around weight part goes, I wish people could understand. I guess it's just heavyweight division is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying?
Of course,
but Jared is a small heavyweight compared to heavyweights. So when you see this guy walk around, you're like, how's this guy having success against these big old dudes? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a small heavyweight, but his, walk around weight almost makes you think, can he cut down to 205? And I'm like, it's just not realistic to say that to all these guys. But the answer is, to go down. Jackson, you know what I'm saying? Jackson is way bigger than Jared. You know what I'm saying? Like, walk around, he's way bigger than Jared. But we just saw, fight at heavyweight's not for Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like, the body changes are just so different. So, I mean, that's the only thing that I would really stress to people. There's not a consistent number that people walk around over their weight, which is why you can't say walk around a weight class. It's just half,
Sure.
Yeah, we like some killer gorilla. I think he's gonna be the guy that's gonna give Israel all he wants. That's not named Kevin Gastelum. That's gonna be whenever they fight, it's gonna be a hell of a fight.
You gotta get through Whitaker first.
For who now?
Jared Cannonier.
Oh yeah, I mean, I want to see it. I want to see that. That would be interesting. He's again, if you are a promoter, you're not excited about Jared Cannonier. You know what I'm saying?
He's an outlier.
He's a workman-like, go get your stuff done, fighter. I'll win by decision. I'll win by stoppage, but my goal is to win. I'm not going to wow you on the mic. I'm going to win, And so, like, when you get that individual, that's the kind of individual that gets skipped unless you feel like they're the perfect person to go out there and just get murked. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, that's okay. Well, this person is good at, being a, lunch pail and, go ahead and work hard, get a decision. But when I put them against my champion's going to style on them, So I know that there's that feel, but it's different for everybody. I really do believe that this fighter, in terms of Jared Cannonier and the talent that he brings to it, he's really the kind of guy that's just going to get the most out of everything that he is ability-wise. But I don't know if he's going to have the transcendent he is not going to have that transcendent go into everyone's home type of feel. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with beating everybody up,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things with, like, Jared. Like, he's an interesting guy. He's actually pretty funny. But
Very funny.
UFC, like, they don't know how to promote his type of personality.
For sure. And
because he's not going to be the first guy to speak. He's not going to be that guy that's going to grab the mic from you and do that kind of thing.
Well, you kind of have to, It's just they don't remember. There's no group of people that sit around and say, let's do a marketable test for each individual that comes in. Really, they just look at how you respond when all those mics go on you for the first time, and they see what comes out. It's just there is no predicting it before that. Like, you just really don't know. And Ronda right away, you could see it immediately. Okay, there's something a little bit different here. You want a Jacek, you could just see it right away. You're like, wow. She's quick about answering. She's got a wit about her. She's kind of a jerk to her opponents. Like just there's something about her that lets you know, okay, this is the person to have in that role for a long time. And it's just and again, you don't have to be the biggest and the best talker. Sometimes you just have to have the right answers. Rose Namajunas has the right answers. Rose does a great. They when the whole thing where she starts. Yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death? Like when she starts going, and I think she did the Lord's Prayer one time, and like she just, and then everybody goes, man, Rose is that girl. And then the piano thing, everybody's like, Rose is that girl. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, she didn't have a long-standing, run as champion, but you can see how she responds to things when the mic's in front of her. She's got something a little bit different. And that comes into play, but you as a fighter got to bring that out of yourself. Even if it's not good. You saw the situation with Colby. He wasn't the best at it, but he did it to the best of his ability.
Don't get this man started, Steve. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't get this man started.
Hey, he got himself that top shot. Okay, I give him credit.
100%
I was even talking to Kamaru about it the other day. Kamaru said, like, after Kamaru won by stoppage, we're talking about it, and I was like, he quickly, he's in the hospital, but he quickly went to Twitter and said that it's the ref's fault that, he had came in and he called the eye poke that didn't happen and the groin shot didn't happen, and he stopped the fight early. He said the ref was working against me. And then Kamaru says it's good that he's doing that because he's got to keep that stick up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's helpful to have that for himself that, I'm going to go out there and this is what happened. Wait till I get a rematch. He's got that part figured out, and if it's true, like he said in that interview, that he really did believe that he was going to get cut because they didn't like his style and his performances. And then he said, I just started, making stuff up there. And then he goes, okay, well, this will keep me around. Then credit due to him, because on that night, it's just, if you're in the building, I'm there, I was there in Vegas for that. If you're in the building, this is literally what it was. He comes out to the Kurt Angle music, and he won some of the crowd over just by having the Kurt Angle music. And then when the fight starts, you know how they are, they switch to the change of the wind. There are USA chants, there's Kobe chants, there's Kamaru chants, it just kind of keeps going, but like, as I'm sitting there, I go, this is what he did it for. This fight's got feel to it. This means something. Like this, you want to see one of these guys win or lose. And shout out to, Lance Storm, for those of you guys who watch professional wrestling. He said something really important, and he was talking about a fight the other day, or a match the other day in wrestling where this girl, Rhea Ripley, won the title. And he goes, the important thing that made that fight, the thing that made that fight important and fun was that the crowd wanted them to win. And that's so important when you're trying to determine who a star is. Something in that crowd has to want them to lose or want them to win. Mayweather had a great career off of people who wanted to see him lose. You know what I'm saying? He knew he was going to lose. He knew in the matchmaking he wasn't going to lose. But, like, he was really, really good at that part of the game. So I think that's like, if a person does it, even if you don't like how Kobe does it, you had an opinion on how Kobe did it. You do not have an opinion on how Derrick Cannonier does it. You know what I'm saying? Just not his style. But it doesn't mean that you're a good or bad fighter. It just means that if you feel like that's a part of you that will come out if you try a little bit harder, then do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out there.
Steve, my co-host, he took it personal. I'm glad you broke it down that way, but my whole thing is why? Okay, you're full mad at Kobe. How come nobody get mad at the UFC for letting them do it if you're really that mad? That's what I don't get. They gave him the platform, they didn't check him, so they're just as culpable. But nobody brought that in. F Kobe Covington, F that manga, da. Nobody said nothing about the UFC. So by them not saying nothing, they're co-signing, right?
They did though.
Well,
people were criticizing the UFC for
but they still watched though. That was like the second biggest show I've heard all year, so they couldn't have been too mad.
For sure. Well, like I would say that Dana White's leanings are red. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we don't have to say it. We know it. He spoke.
I wasn't going there. I wasn't going there.
Well, I won't like go all the way over there because he's got bisexual and homosexual champions, and he doesn't be like, well, I'm not going in the ring now. Like he doesn't. He has a workforce that has different views throughout, you know what I'm saying, as far as the fighters. And if there's one thing that you'll notice when you watch MMA, there's a lot more, MAGA supporters than you would think, you know what I'm saying? And if you look at just MMA as a whole, we've got, Latin American MAGA supporters, which, you wouldn't think is possible, but they're all over the place, and I'm in Texas, so we're in Texas. They're all
yeah, we know.
There are people, so like, I won't get in on for that part. There were some things that I think that were said that I thought that, all right, there's no taste there. But of course, I, as a person that gets to work with Kamaru, I'm like, all right, that fight date ain't changing. So say what you got to say, brother. You know what I'm saying? I noticed fight week, a lot of that stuff calmed down a lot more. And I'm like, all right, okay. I think the most important thing that Kobe did was he fought hard, and, he changed people's opinions of who he was as a competitor. And, his fighting really was the story after the fight. And so much so that, when I went on Twitter, and then you guys can tell me what you saw, but I think the main theme that I kept running into was this idea that Kobe really did do a really good job. He showed a lot of toughness. He showed a lot of heart. There are a few people was like, but Kobe said blank, 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 blank. You know what I'm saying? Like after that, where the fight had taken, it was such a great fight, and the way it was finished, like it changed everything. So it's as far as what Kobe did to get himself in that position and how he said it, clearly in the way that I thought Chael Sonnen had said some things that were like a little, too far. It did what it was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But also, as a person that watches combat sports and watches years and years of boxing and so on, they ain't saying nothing new. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are so many people in boxing and so on that talk about race and talk about people. And it's just, in the combat sports world, it's a little different. There's not that suit and tie expectation.
Exactly.
And if you're a leader of the company, is just as bad, as everybody else. It's not, it's like, he's not Commissioner Goodell. You know what I'm saying? Like, Goodell don't say nothing until, especially when you want Goodell to say something, he still don't say nothing. He understands what that role is and how you have to really have a certain way of saying things to the media when you are a suit and tie type of organization. Donald Stern, who just died just the other day, same thing. He had this idea of, okay, I can't have everybody thinking that this is a bunch of thugs playing basketball. You guys got to wear suits. You guys got, like, they're conscious of that kind of stuff. Dana White ain't conscious of that at all. He'll be the number one to jump on somebody about it. So it's combat sports. It's always going to be that way. I'm even thinking about some of the stuff that Don King said, and some of the, like, it's just we're grimy. This is who we are.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is your product is fighting. Your product is punching people in the face and choking each other out. So there's always going to be some element of something that's unsavory, in some aspects, because like you're saying, like the whole suit and tie aspect, like the UFC is the most corporate feeling promotion out there, like how they handle everything. But then at the end of the day, there's going to be some things like, yeah, your president's going to come out there and throw F-bombs around, especially when talking about fighters he's supposed to be promoting, which is, kind of crazy. But, it's just part of the game. It's part of the game. It's a crazy game we all follow and we all love and we're all a part of. But it is what it is. Let me get you out of here on this, Steve. Is there a particular title fight that's scheduled right now that you think we could see a title fight change hands in the UFC? We got John Jones coming up. We got Valentina Shevchenko coming up. And who else? Weili Zhang, Jędrzejczyk, and there's one more I'm missing. Ferguson and Khabib. Do you see the title changing hands in any of those?
I think that JJ beats Chang. I think that's the highest possibility of all those others. The others, I think that the champion holds. And it's not that it's impossible for the, Reyes brings a different, for sure a different look and a youth, and his boxing is very good, and his takedown defense was really, really good against Weidman. Now, again, Weidman's a little bit smaller guy as far as that goes, but like, he did it. And when he went down to get back up, and Jones is a different type of guy, though. He's so long and he's a different type of wrestling to deal with. He's, got those NFL genes, so it's like he's going to be tough to deal with. Shevchenko.
Easy work.
And I had the opportunity to see her, opponent at the PI. I was holding mitts there with Mark in Montana, and then we were. It was the same day. It's the same fight day for Kamaru. So like we were all there, and then I saw her rolling, and I was like, okay, she is gonna have to fight her best fight of her life, and then have some things go her way if she's gonna beat Shevchenko. And then I saw Shevchenko just come in just a little bit later, and we were just sitting out talking. She's, of course, you guys know I've known her for a long time. It's going to be tough to see someone unseat her, because even if you are able to figure out the striking, which it's going to be tough to ever see anybody do that, she is so strong at the weight. If she can get a body lock on you, you're going down. And she's conservative on top. So she will usually look to strike. She doesn't get her chest that high. She's usually pretty violent from a small area. Unless she immediately feels that she's stronger, then she'll be more violent. But the way that Chikogan gets her offense off, it will be very, very difficult for her to have success with Valentina. And again, now maybe they're game planning, maybe they're seeing something different in the gym. You can never knock preparation. But I'm saying off the eye test, she's got a tough night ahead of her. Khabib and Ferguson, Khabib is the best top position grappler I've ever seen with my own eyes. And that, action roll to kind of get out of things that you see. People forget when Ferguson went against Lee got a hold of him, took him down, passed the full mount, and beat him up. And then he slowly got tired. But that's really, really impressive by Lee. Go ahead and put Khabib in there. You know what I'm saying? Khabib gets the full mount on you. You've got a different animal on top. Because he won't even look for a sub. He'll just keep hitting you, Khabib's not going to – could get a head and arm on anybody, but if he gets top position, he's going to hit you until you roll over to your side or to your stomach, and then he's going to go ahead and look for RNC and stuff then. But before that, he's beating you up. So the rolling things, Khabib is so conscious of hips. He's so conscious of people trying to bail under his arms and try to create scrambles. He's so conscious of how to get a pass without using a lot of effort. How he gets people to the cage, how he does how he triangles the leg and then they turn over to a hip and then he uses that to pass. Like, it's just, it's coming and it happens anyway. Clearly on the feet, if Khabib has one of those lazy rounds, where he's just kind of standing there chilling, he had one of those with, his last few opponents. The opportunity will be there to hit him for sure. Ferguson will be able to hit him. Ferguson's cardio will be on point. But when you get beat up, it's not an indictment on your cardio. It's you're getting beat up. So all of a sudden, you don't have as much energy and as much punch. And, I heard about that with Diego Sanchez. So this is one of the more popular. BJ Penn, Diego Sanchez. I remember a lot of people saying Diego's cardio had quit on him when he got there. I go, no, that's cardio. He's getting beat up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's from you physically. So are you that same action roll, scrambles, offensive flurry guy when you have a Khabib on you? And we'll see. But, man, he's going to be tough to deal with. So, of the title fights coming up, I believe I got all the ones that you mentioned.
Yes.
That's going to be a really, really tough one. So, but that's probably the one of them that I want to see the most. I want to see that because if Khabib clears that hurdle, I just don't see who at 55 is out there for him.
100%. Hard to
One
argue with
question,
that.
just no prediction. I don't need a breakdown. Clemson or LSU? I got LSU only because it's in Louisiana.
Oh, man. Without a breakdown. I am leaning LSU a little bit too, but
they're playing in New Orleans. That
Sure,
makes a difference. If they're playing anywhere but New Orleans, I would pick Clemson. That's going to be the difference, stuff.
I mean, Dabo can really coach him up, and he's got the personnel. The most important person is Isaiah Simmons because Simmons can play those slot positions, and he can play Moss or he could play, any of the bigger receivers that they have there, and he's a linebacker, so he's got the ability to do that. But their corner personnel is pretty solid. Their D-line's always solid. Not as good as they've been in past, but it just kind of depends on that first quarter. If they can have a 7-7 or a 7-3, even if they're on the lower end of it after quarter number one, they should be in good shape. But if they let, LSU come out there and get 3 touchdowns in the first, 10 minutes,
they ain't Oklahoma.
It'll be tougher for them to come back. And they're not Oklahoma for sure.
Yes.
But I bring that up because Bama was able to claw back. Texas was able to claw back. So better teams that they've been up against were able to show up later. So, I mean, LSU has proven to be the best offensive team all year. And Clemson's got something to prove. Dabo wants this. After, dropping in the rankings and people talking about the division, he wants this. So it's hopefully I just want a classic. I just rewatched USC Texas the other day. I want a classic. That's the main thing that I want. So, but I can see a lean towards LSU for sure.
100%. Well, Steve, man, we appreciate you coming on our first episode on the Sherdog Radio Network. We appreciate you joining us. Couldn't think of a better guy to have on, man. One of our favorite people in the combat sports world. So thanks for your time tonight, brother.
All right. You guys have a good one. God bless.
Please welcome back to the Slipping In Podcast. Friend of the show, one of the best combat sports trainers in the world today, 2017. Ring Magazine Boxing Trainer of the Year, who trains the unified welterweight champion Earl Spence Jr. and 154 WBC champion Jermell Charlo, not Jermall. Get it right. So how's it feel to how your fighters basically go through a lot of adversity, but come out on the other side of it in 2019 and they're primed for big 2020s?
I think that it's okay. It's just growth, man. It's life. I think that you get a certain level of understanding, and then at the same time, man, you got to go through something to be great. You know what I'm saying? Nobody gonna give you nothing. You got to go through something to be great.
With everything that happened with Earl, does it bother y'all that people are not just letting stuff play out? It's too much speculation, and it seems like every week it's a different rumor concerning what's happening in Dallas. I'm like, I live here, I don't hear that. So how you in California or New York and you know what's going on here in Dallas? It's crazy to me. So I know it's gonna be crazy to y'all.
I think it's beautiful with the solitude. I think that people are I don't know what the word is for, but they can't let it play out. They have to create scenarios within their head and in their mind. And I think that it's crazy. I mean, it's funny, to be honest. I mean, they can't let life play out. I mean, everybody has to be not get accurate information, but be the first to tell a lie. And I mean, it's okay, man. We keep everything private because it's not about. When every part of your life is public, some things, most part of your life you can control is private. You want to keep it private.
Yeah. Has it been frustrating for you or Errol even, knowing that he went through what he went through, and then that, everything is going to be so public, like no matter what, like all of the fallout from it and everything like that, everybody knows what happened because there's a video of exactly what happened to him, and everybody's going to be talking about that in the lead up to the next fight, even after the fight, depending on how that fight plays out. People are going to be talking about that moment. The commentators are going to be talking about it during the fight. How frustrating is that to deal with all that?
I don't think it's frustrating. I think it's life, man. I think that things happen in life for a particular reason. Who knows what they are? But I think that every step in life is a room for. It shows you have room to grow, and you learn from it. And everybody. So not only the individual that goes through it, but the life world, everybody should learn from it, So it's not frustrating to me because it's something that happened, and everybody want to talk about it. They want to catch you when you at your worst, never at your best. You know what I mean? So to them, that's to talk about.
How big a deal was to close out 2019 with that big win, being the corner for Jermell Charlo and the whole Tony Harrison thing, with all the craziness, the antics on both ways, and the fact that Jermell said for the last year, when I see him, I will finish him, and he did exactly how he did. And you told him what to do, because I remember in the 8th round, you basically said he hurt. He playing games. You told him that, and he put in that work and got his ass up out of there.
Well, man, I think that it was great because, you think about as a trainer, you want to do your job, and my job is to make sure my guys win fights. I mean, and be there for them if they need me to be there for them. So, I mean, it's great, man. I mean, you have two champions, two highly touted champions, one unified champ, and a lot of people can't say that they have that, and a lot of people can't even imagine that it's really happening to a guy like myself. So it's beautiful, man.
Have you gone back and listened to the commentary?
Yeah, I did. And what's funny about it is I talked to Lennox Lewis the next day. And but I listened to the commentary, and I think that they thought that Jermell was behind, or that I don't know. It sounded like they thought he could possibly be behind, but they felt like it was a pretty competitive and a good fight. So
I'd say to put it lightly, because you let Brian Kenny tell it. Jermell wasn't winning no rounds, and I'm sitting here scoring the fight live. I'm like, I have him winning. I have him up at least 2 rounds, and
Right.
let the commentary tell it like it was a blowout for Harrison. And I was telling people on Twitter this. I was telling people on Twitter, I'm like, Harrison's not winning this fight, and people were trying to argue with me.
And you know what's funny? The judges had it just like they had Jamel winning. Was like he was up by 2 rounds going into that 11th round. He was still winning by 2 rounds.
Yeah,
And that's how like two of the judges had it at that, and one of them had Harrison winning the fight. So you know it was kind of split or whatever. But you know, hey man, I think it's all subjective. So you can't really be upset because of how it was going into the fight. I mean, the last round or whatever. Because you know it's like it's a 12-round fight. So you know you could lose 11 and a half of the 12 rounds and still get a knockout or still get a victory. So think about James Toney when he fought the guy name, I forget the guy. He had 2 fights in a row, Michael Nunn and another guy where he knocked both of them out in the 11th, 12th round. So you never know. King, forget the guy's name, but I mean, yeah, man, you just never know, man. You just gotta stay focused and stay on the things that don't work in the first round, work in the 10th, 11th, or 12th round.
yeah.
What you think when Tony Harrison started doing all the clowning and all the antics and shoulder rolling and sticking his ass out and dancing? He's like he pulled every clown move in the book only to get finished.
I think that. I mean, because when I listened to his interview, I think he said that he got hurt by a shot by Jamel or whatever. I mean, I think that. I mean, you know, I don't know what that was about. I mean, you know, I don't listen. I have no ill words, nothing harsh to say about Tony Harris because I actually think he's a pretty decent guy. You know what I mean? And you know, it's like we needed him, he needed us, you know, to get this fight done. I mean, so I had a conversation with Mike McCallum years ago, and he told me about how we need each other to you know, make the money that we make and provide for our families. And so from that, when I heard him say that, I was like, there's no need to ever be hostile towards anybody because, especially boxing, because we need each other. So there's no need for, it's like a co-worker. You know what I mean? You know, so it's, what do you do? And it is a co-worker, but you know, we're just not working on the same team. So I'm not, you know, he felt like he needed to do, you know, people will remember him, put it like that. He's going to be remembered. And he fought a hell of a fight, too. So, you know.
Yeah, no, he did. And, you know, like you said, it was one of those things where I think, fortunately, the fight, you know, ended for Charlo. But like you said, the real judges had it in his favor. But, you know, it was just going to be one of those things where people would have been screaming controversy and stuff like that, you know, after the first fight.
Right.
But I think you put a stamp on it like that, like you noticing, hey, he's hurt, go out there and get this dude out of there. I think that saved everybody from all that type of drama, you know. leave no questions about the ending of this one.
Right, you're right.
So what do y'all have to do? What's the game plan in 2020 for Charlo and Earl? And I have to ask you because I don't want people. How you gonna have him on your show and not ask him about Terrence Crawford?
I think that the strategy is just, hey man, continue to come out and try to be the best and do your thing, man. I don't really get caught up in all that other stuff. I just think we just got to go out, be the best trainer I can be the best Derrick James, my version of myself. Errol be the best he can be. Jamel be the best he can be. My young guy Brother Brooks be the best he can be, and anybody else I'm working with. Everybody just be the best, man. Go out there and do your thing. I mean, and with Terrence Crawford, I don't know what to say. I mean, nothing to say. I mean, so something where he said that stop ducking me, which is like, I mean, I look at it like this. None of these boxers on this level are afraid of any of the other guys, right? The reason why I say it is because we fought better and stronger guys than him. He's been in the ring with Floyd Mayweather before. I mean, and you know, it's like not to be whatever, but he has a throne that he's never fought one good opponent to attain. I'm just saying, like, what good fight? Okay, if you look at Chris Algieri, listen. The reason why I say Chris Algieri because Chris Algieri beat Ruslan Provodnikov, who was a killer, right? He beat him, outboxed him. And Terence Crawford hadn't even fought anybody as good as Chris Algieri. And Chris Algieri is a phenomenal boxer. He hadn't fought anybody that good yet. Not one person. I'm just saying. So the crown. See, that's why you always have to think about it like this. I saw an interview today with Andre Ward said that the guy, he said, yeah, he got dropped and the guy hurt him like 2 or 3 times in the fight. So I think that what happens is that when you believe what people say about you, how great you are, then you start believing what people say about you. And I think that you have to stay in the library, the room, and keep learning, keep reading up, keep studying, keep getting better and better and better. I think that, I think he's a good fighter. No, I'm a phenomenal fighter. He is so accomplished, right? But at the same time, his accomplishments came against guys who really, nobody know them. Nobody know who they are. Postal was here for a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think about his last fight? Because I was there. I think he got dropped, and then he got back and fought his ass off and got up out of there. But he did get dropped in that fourth round.
He got dropped, but that's boxing, and people get dropped all the time. So we won't dwell on that. He did get dropped, whether he want to admit it or not. He tried to fall on the guy to rest, but the guy moved around and stepped off of him. But that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean anything. But he did get dropped, and it's okay. That's the game because he finished the deal the way he was supposed to. He stopped him, and that's what you know. But I didn't see the fight, but I heard that he struggled with him a little bit. The guy was catching him with some shots, and so I didn't see the fight, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either, but that's also what I heard. I know Kendrick was talking about it to me a little bit as well, but it is what it is. What is it? What is that? I've been curious about this. Right behind you, what are these WBC things? Like these aren't their belts, are they? What are those?
He didn't go to the last fight, Derrick. Let him know what that is.
No, tell me, please, enlighten me.
Those are. Let me show you real close. These are the WBC trainers belts. You see, so nobody in the world has 3 of those. You got to first of all, you got to realize that nobody in the world has 3 of them.
Okay.
The trainer in the world has 3 of those belts. They just started giving them out last year. And I believe I was the first one to get one. When was it last year? No, it was 2 years ago. I think I was the first one to get one. And you see, I'm sure I'll be the first one to have 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so so who knows, man? Maybe I'll get another one this year. Who knows?
Okay, so that's like an award then, is what it is basically.
It's like your fighter won, so he won.
Oh, okay. So they give you I got you. I see what it is now.
So what it is, it's a belt. Because see, before they would give the fighters belts, and there would be nothing else. Trainers would just that's my guy. Or you get picked, So now it's like they actually give us something physical and tangible also that we don't carry. You don't carry it around. You have to find somewhere to put them in the house.
Right.
Okay. But you don't carry it around. But that's basically what it's something for us. Something for us.
Gotcha. I like it.
Right.
So it is basically like the version of I guess like in the NBA. The NBA coaches and everybody get rings too, right? Kind of like that.
Yeah, no doubt. I had. Listen. This thing about it, I picked up 2 of these here. From Errol and Jamel. So this is Errol and Jamel. So this is one from Errol. This is one from Jamel. No, this.
All right, 2 from Jamel and 1 from Errol.
This is one from Errol right there. The one in the middle was one from Errol. The other one is one from Jamel.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. I look for a couple more, something like that. Hey, who knows? It's not up yet, baby.
See, I learned something today. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, it's something new. It's only been out for I think 2 years, maybe this year make 2 years, a year, something like that. So.
Okay, that's
So,
dope. That's dope. So
yeah.
you got to get yourself a nice little, I guess like shadow box type thing or something to hang them up in. Make a nice little display
And
for
we, you
them.
know, we're gonna do something. You know, I'm looking for something. You know, I gotta, I got some things coming. You know, I gotta find me a special room and a place to put those things up at. You know, so
I feel you. I feel you. I like
yeah.
it.
So before we let you go, what are 3 things you want to accomplish with your fighters, or you want your fighters accomplished in 2020?
Hey man, I just want them to be great, man. Only thing I can ask them that they continue to be great. That they've been great, and we've been great as a team. You know, I saw something where on one of the songs with Dave Chappelle and T.I. he said, "Ain't no more apologizing for being great." You know, so I think that you don't have to walk around arrogant or pompous, but you don't have to apologize for your job. So I think that I would love for my guys to keep doing their jobs, being great. I would love for myself to keep focusing, doing my job and being great, and just going from there. That's it.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Derrick, we appreciate the time as always and kicking it with us for a little bit and teaching me something tonight. And we look forward to having you back on again soon, man.
Every day's education, baby. If you ain't learning nothing, you standing still.
Yeah, it's a wasted
Remember
day,
that.
right? It's a wasted day if I ain't learned nothing.
Appreciate you for coming on.
Every day. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I know you like to stay behind the scenes.
What did you say?
I know you like to stay behind the scenes.
I'm on the low, man. If I was more loud and arrogant and pompous, I would be all over the place. I'd be the number one trainer in the world. You know what I mean? If I was talking shit and cursing people out, and I would be like the number one, because I think that they love everybody. They love greatness, but they love a clown also.
Oh, that's a fact.
They be
That's
a
a fact.
clown.
That's a fact.
You think about this. The other guys don't have to be a clown to be great, but some guys have to. They feel like they have to be a clown to be great, or have some kind of alter ego, or have something else. So I just say, man, listen. I know I am. I love what I do, and I'm not about my character to be successful. I mean, just keep working, keep grinding.
100%. 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Well, appreciate the time as always, brother. We'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Peace.